Google Antigravity IDE. Wow, wow, wow. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. Google just released this around a month ago, 18th of November. But honestly, in AI development, that 1 month is like 6 months. So I feel like I'm late to the party. But nonetheless, I've been playing around with it and I'm a fan for many reasons. So we're going to get into this. I'll be giving you a quick Google Antigravity IDE walkthrough. And honestly, it's really straightforward. So if you are a complete beginner, you skipped the Replit, the Cursor, the Windsurf, the Trae, and you feel like this is the one for you, you're probably right. So stick around. But the biggest reason that I and most people are kind of fanning out about this is this right here. This is the pricing table, absolutely free for anybody who wants to build. Now they do have the developer plan, team plan, organization plan. So this is everything that you get in the free version. You've got access to Gemini 3 Pro, which is an amazing model. And then you've got Flash, Claude Sonnet, Opus 4.5. But this is all included in the free, in the IDE. This is all included. Unlimited tab completions, unlimited command requests, generous weekly rate limits, which I definitely agree. I've only had one instance where I was prompting and then it told me you've maxed out your Pro, go on to Flash. And then I was pleasantly surprised because there wasn't a huge, it's like Flash wasn't drastically worse when I had to use it to complete what I was doing. In the past, using Cursor, when you had to drop down to a lower model, it wasn't even worth continuing your building. You may as well just plan or wait until your rate limits reset, and I've not had that issue. So Flash is fine. If anything, Flash is a bit slower than Pro, which is strange, but yeah. Nonetheless, not had any issues with this free plan. But then you've got the developer plan, team plan, and organization plan, and then these are the differences. Again, not sure. I don't know what this plan is going to entail. But you get everything in the individual, and then you just get more generous rate limits, refreshed every 5 hours, and then same thing, I guess, but more generous. Yeah, you're just going to go ahead and download and install. You've got your 3 operating systems here. Once you've got it installed, it's going to ask you the usual IDE questions, as it is a fork of VS Code like Windsurf, Cursor, Trae AI. But this is truly an agent first IDE rather than an AI code assistant attached to an IDE, because it does things that I've never seen before. It asked me if it was okay to install the Chrome browser, which I never even knew existed, and then it proceeded to test the front end of my application, clicking buttons, waiting for reactions. Just insane. But anyway, this is it installed, and I've actually been creating a game. So I kind of went down a game development rabbit hole. I was vibe coding games in Gemini 3.0, and I was really impressed with the quality of the games it created. So I made this with Gemini 3 it didn't take very long. So yeah, I was really impressed. This is a working game, so I thought let me actually see what can be done. So yeah, story for another time. I'll close that for now. But the point is that Gemini 3 I was mind blown by that already. Then I found out there was Antigravity, and this was all free and included. And needless to say, the quality for it to be a free product or a free tool is just, it's just insane. But anyway, I went down the game dev rabbit hole, and one of my favorite games of all time is very specifically Super Bomberman 2. And I had the emulator and I gave it to Antigravity and I said, let's recreate this game. Let's make a modern version. I want more levels. I want all kinds of stuff. And that's what I've been doing. I've been back and forth. I've only hit the limit once and made this entire game, fixed a bunch of bugs, and I've just been iterating ever since. And something I discovered while I was coding, which I had no idea would even be a thing, very impressive, is that in this IDE, you can actually generate images. So if you're developing a game or making a website or any kind of application, you can generate the assets for that thing that you're building. There is a caveat, because for most things you're going to want to have this transparent background, and it doesn't do very well with that. It tries and it will make you think that it's done that. I don't think I have any examples. I think I've deleted them, but it does really well generating images. So this is one of the ones. There's no transparent pixels. This is one I've had to generate and then do in Canva. So it ends up making more sense to generate the image in ChatGPT or just in Gemini and then put it in Canva to remove the background. There might be a workaround. I've not come across it yet, but generally if you're telling it to make sure the background is transparent and it's a PNG, it's going to try, but what it does is generate transparent looking pixels. So with this, for example, if you look right here, you can see, where has it gone? I think that was it. Yeah, if I zoom in here, if this were truly a transparent image, this wouldn't look like this. These would all be checkers. So these are actual pixels. So it knows what we're going for, but it can't actually make that. And that might be a framework or something that you could install, so you can just generate everything in here, just like this. But what I've been doing is generating my sprites and then removing the background. And this is what we've come up with. And again, this is all completely made in Antigravity. So the gameplay, this could not have been done a few months back. Not this easily. The mechanics are just... But yeah, that's my game. I think that's absolutely epic because so much can be done. This is some hours of playing around with this thing. But let's actually look at the IDE itself. So if you are familiar with Cursor, Windsurf, Trae, or VS Code, you're looking at pretty much the same thing. You've got the built-in model here. So if you're using Cursor, this is going to be where you talk to the agent. You've got model selection here. We've got Gemini Pro, High, Low, Flash, Claude Sonnet 4.5, Thinking, Opus, and GPT OSS 120B. And it doesn't really tell you the power of each of these models. Like with Cursor, it has this gauge based on how many tokens it costs, so you know what the good models are. But this is at the top of the list. I think that maybe they've ordered it. No, because Opus is there. Nonetheless, these are all really good models. I think I can say that. And then you've got fast and you've got planning mode. So the agent can plan before executing tasks, and the agent will execute tasks directly. I've tested it enough to have it set to you don't need to review these changes. But so far, I trust it enough to have this agent auto fix lint on. You can turn this off, auto execution. I've got it on always proceed. You can get it to make sure it requests a review. Because this is just a fun game dev project, I'm just making sure that I back up. I've got different branches and things like that. Other than that, I'm really trying to test it, stress test it, I guess, to see what it's capable of when it runs into issues, what it does, and how it handles those things. But so far, I'm not having it apologize. So if it does something, more often than not, it's done the thing it said. And if it hasn't, it's not destroyed something else in the process. So I really appreciate that. But just quickly running through the IDE again, if you've used any of the others, everything is the same. It's a fork of VS Code. So if you want to install any extensions, they're over here. Your file system is here, and your tabs. You've got the terminal that you can bring up down here. So if you did want to run Claude, not sure why you would want to do that now, but if you do want to run Claude code in the terminal or do anything in the terminal, I'm typically in here going npm run dev, and that's it. Other than that, everything is handled here from the agent. So I'm going to give it a command, and you can just see how quick it works. So let's see what we've been doing. It's fixed enemy collision. Let's turn this down. It says it's fixed enemy collision. We've got an enemy quite far away, but I was having trouble where the enemies were walking right through the character, which is not what we want. So that was something that I was working on, and we can test it. So we're 1 block away from an enemy. I think they're colliding with each other, and that's not... I think I'm going to die now. I can't get away from this. Okay, I got away. But can they go through the bomb? It didn't kill them. So that's an example. It said it's done it. It says fix enemy collision, adjusted enemies to be pushable. Oh, that's not what I wanted. I didn't want them to be pushable. They're supposed to kill me. They're not even killing me. Something's wrong. But you do have all of your usual creature comforts. If you want to tag a file, you've got file tagging. You just type @ You've got / commands. And you've also got this agent manager for all of your different workspaces. So if you're working on multiple projects, you've got this log of everything that you've been doing. And this is the first one, I think. So I've had 2 different sessions, and the agent has a complete log of everything. So you can go back to that session and start talking to it again. And this is an issue that I've run into with Claude Code, where I'm having to tell it to create a log of the session. I don't know if there is another way that you can do that. But what I've been doing is, before I close the session, I get it to make me a markdown file of everything that it's done, a summary of what it's done, what it's changed. So when I go back into the project, I can continue where I left off. But with this, it has a full log of everything, and you can go back and refer to anything it's done. So really love that. So this allows you to create multiple agents to target different things. So just like Claude Code sub agents, but you can have these handling all kinds of different things within your project. And another killer feature I'll touch on is the playground, which is perfect for rapid prototyping. Again, I've said that I've been in Gemini, and I'm usually playing around and coding things in the Gemini, the chat interface, which is more like ChatGPT. So it's made to just talk about things and writing, emails, all of those basic things that you do. But then you have to copy and paste or save that code somewhere else. Now you don't have to do that. You can treat the playground like the Gemini chat interface, and you can just come up with an idea, play around with it, get it to build it out. And if you like what you've built and you want to turn it into a bigger project, then you can move it into its own dedicated workspace and continue from there. So really good for us shiny object people who have ideas and want to build something. But in the interest of not making this video longer than it needs to be, I'm going to end it here. But I'll probably follow up with some comparisons with Cursor, with Claude Code, even though it's not an IDE, Windsurf and Trae AI, whatever I've really got on my computer that I can use for developing. I'll probably try and look at how it stacks up against the web-based AI coders like Lovable, Bolt, Tempo, those ones. So stick around if you want to see more videos like this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Have you already started using Antigravity? Are you going to now check it out? Has my video convinced you to give it a go if you've seen people talking about it? Honestly, I've not heard or seen anything negative about it, and that's a testament to how good it is, and you know, it's free. So yeah.